Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete's Light Kits here. I thought I would do a video for you today. It's been probably long overdue. We're going to install a light kit into a slot car, and this light kit is specifically designed for these slotted Porsche models. You'll see when we open this puppy up where the rear lights are located. There's not a lot of room, so I've gone with we've got the standard through-hole LED for the rears. They're 1.8 millimeter diameter. The little end piece here, so they can lay flat in there with lots of room in the rear end. Up front, we've got some SMD cool white lights, because this guy wants cool whites in his IMSA GTP livery here. Normally I would say warm whites, but he wants cool whites. That's fine. And we're going to maintain the look of the car as best as possible. Put the light kit into it, show you how that's done. So just a few other things here. Basic tools, hobby knife, a round file, various screwdrivers, Phillips to get the car out of the away from the body. Some flat ones just to kind of get the parts apart. I've got this tool I received in a soldering kit years ago. It's aluminum, and the one end has just got kind of a blunt point. The other end has a little thing here that's got some old hot melt glue in it. This was for soldering. I use it, you'll see how I use it to hold the front LEDs in place while I hit them with some hot glue to keep them in place. A pin vise with an assortment of bits, and a hot glue gun with a fine tip, and black hot glue. You can get that on Amazon or eBay, but the black is very effective at doing two things. It holds the LED in place, and it also covers up any kind of back or stray lighting, so the light is only going to go through the lens where you want it. Looks a lot better than just sticking an LED in there with the clearish opaque stuff or anything else where you get a lot of stray light that shows up like through the fenders and coming out near the wheels. That's about it for the tools. If I have anything else, I'll let you know through the video as I use them. So first of all, this car is fresh. We'll open it up and get to work. Like I said, I like to maintain the look of the cars. So we're going to take apart the front end quite a bit. Get down to where we can remove the lenses, remove the lens covers, drill a hole through the body, mount the light behind there, and then mount the lens parts back in front, so that, you know, unless you look very close, you would never tell that the car had lights in it. So we'll use the case to hold the pieces parts. We don't really need the chassis. Set that aside. So you see at the factory, what they like to do is they use, I don't know what they use, but it's heated, and the little tabs come through here and they just melt the plastic. So the first thing we're going to do, I don't like to grind, because that, you know, you go too far and the next thing you know you've got a hole in your body, which doesn't look so good. So I just like to pick away with my X-Acto here, or hobby knife, sorry. And well, actually, let's work at the covers first of all. Just kind of work away at this, get away, move all the melted plastic. If you use a flat bladed screwdriver, we can kind of push on that to see if it's going to loosen up. The other part where it's coming through is the little hole there. So I think this round file actually can go in there. And then the flat blade screwdrivers, there, you just lift that up gently and then come in here at the side. Oh, there goes the wiper, windshield wiper. There we go. That one goes in the box. Let's put the wiper in the box. Now we'll see if the lenses want to come out. Yep, there they are. So now you want to make sure you get the orientation right. The signal light is always on top on these cars. And I mean, it doesn't really matter which holes you use for the lights. If you want to be accurate, the outer lights are the low beams, the inner lights are the high beams. And if you actually look at the profile of this little plastic part, the regular beam is a convex lens and the high beam is a concave lens. Nice little attention to detail that Maurizio did with these cars. We're going to go with the outer lens. So what I like to do is you take that little, there's a piece of stick-on chrome. Won't need that anymore. Just take that off with your thumbnail. And now that's ready to go back in. Well, we're going to work on the other side, and we'll get back once I get the other side out, then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so we're back. We've got the headlights and the lenses extracted from the body. Their pieces are right here, the left and the right. So the next step is to try and kind of eyeball where these lenses are on the front and mark your holes from the back. So you can use the little slot here kind of as a guide, and we're going to the outside, and usually it's about, you know, half the distance between the side of the car here and the slot. So what I can do is just mark the spot first. So generally we're gonna go right about there, and then on the other side right about there. Now what you want to do, the diameter of these LEDs, kind of the yellow bit there, is, if I recall correctly, it's about 1/8 of an inch. But we don't want to go ahead, we don't want to go and drill 1/8 of an inch hole right off the bat. So we're going to start with something a lot smaller, maybe a 1/16. These are all my little metric bits, so I'll grab something that looks around, maybe it's 2mm, I don't know. And we'll throw that in the pin vise and then drill our small pilot holes. I switched over to a smaller diameter drill bit. Oh, there we go. I think we were almost there anyway. Okay, now you can see the hole. Oh, there's some flash on the front there. And you can see the hole is a little bit inboard this way. That's okay. What we can do, that's why we have our little file. Once we enlarge that a little bit more, we'll get the file in there and kind of move the hole outboard a bit. But while we have this one in the vise, let's do the other side. There, that worked a lot better. I think that original drill bit I had was pretty dull. Anyway, that one looks a lot better. It looks in a better position. That's all right. We'll be able to move that one over, like I said, once we get that hole a little bit bigger, and then we can use the file to move it over, so to speak. Let me swap out. This looks a little bit more like. The other thing we can do is we can kind of angle this over. There, bite into that and move it over. The other side here. There. Yeah, we're getting there. Now what we can also do is if you go from the front here and use the drill bit kind of like a file, we can work a little bit on this hole to move it outboard. There, that's better. Now we want the file. Oh, that's excellent. You can see that one there. It's good. Just a little bit more, and then we'll give it a bit of a round. I think that's going to work perfect. We could check with our light. Put it in behind there. Yeah, it's good. You can see it's got pretty good coverage there. All right. So now we come with our file. Yeah, this one is in a good position, so all we're going to need to do is increase the size of the drill bit, and we'll be there in no time. It's all worth it in the end to keep the look of the car, I feel. So this time we'll go from the outside. I suppose you could have gone from the outside to start with, but because of all the black paint here, I just didn't want to mess things up too much. Let's just clean this one up as well, same size. Anyway, at this point, the front end is ready to be reassembled and install the lights. Let's have a look at the back end. Now in the back end, like I said, you don't have a lot of vertical space. So the LED is basically going to go in there laid down like this. But you've got that little the little protrusion there, which is the actual lens. I hope you can see that half decently. It's going to just lay in there. What I normally do then is I just drill into the body a little recess for that little part to go into. So I'm going to switch my drill bit back to a smaller one. Okay, we're working on the rears now. We're just using, I think, a 1.6 millimeter drill bit to drill just a little divot here so that the little protrusion on the LED can fit in nicely. I've got it started. It's in there. You can see it's going in there about halfway now. Let's just continue on. Like I said, there goes the lens. That's not a problem. And the bit is through. So we'll move the lens over. And then what I think I want to do is just drill a little bit bigger, but not all the way through. But let's do the other side first of all. Okay, so we're just going to go about halfway in. Should shave. If you go all the way through, it's okay. Oh, yeah, and we did. Well, I think this bit is a 1.8, so that's like 0.1 millimeters on either, all around, so not a lot of plastic to get some feedback from. So there, we're through there on both. Let's test fit the little dimple. It's not quite there yet. Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'll keep an eye on the plastic there. Very, very light. So that was this side. Let's double check that. There we go. We're right in there. Beautiful. Same thing on the other side. Just take some plastic, check that. Perfect. We're right in there. Clean up the outside. And now we're ready to reassemble. What we want to do first is put the front end lenses and headlight covers back in, because you don't want to put your LED in there and then hit it with hot melt and then have your hot melt fill up all your little holes where your lens and light, your lens parts, your plastic parts are supposed to go. So what I use is this clear transparent E6000. It works very well on plastic, doesn't fog the plastic, the clear plastic. It sets up pretty quickly. It's not too bad to work with. I just put a blob on some tape there, and then I use just some craft sticks. I sharpen them in my pencil sharpener just to get a bit of a finer point. So what we'll do first is, and I like to we put the headlight in, and then we'll glue it from behind just to keep the mess down. So we just take a little spot of this. This stuff is kind of stringy, but if you wait for it, it works nicely. And we'll just kind of build a little mound there in the back. That'll work. To the other side. A little dab, and then just kind of all over that tab. Of course, if you had the white kit, I would recommend that you reassemble kind of using the method that they do, and that is, you put the tab through, and then what I do is I have a nail with a large head on it that I hold with pliers, and I heat that up in a propane torch, and then just melt the tab from behind like they would do at the factory. That works really well. But since this car is completed and we had to take it apart and then put it back together, you don't have a lot of tab there to work with. You have no tab really. So we use the E6000. It works nicely. Now the headlight covers. Again, these, I think these kind of go in one way. You put the, oops, and they're a little tricky. You put the top tab in and then push down on the little bottom piece. Now that's in there, but everybody who runs slot cars knows it's not in there for long unless it gets a little help. So again, we're gonna put some E6000 all along the top tab there, and then maybe just a little bit down on the bottom. That's just where that little piece comes through. There we go, that one's done. This one, sometimes you have to clean up the tabs. For some reason when they come out, they don't like to go back in. So we just shave some of that flash off of there. There we go. In at the top, in at the bottom. A little more of this. Now I'm going to let this E6000 cure for quite a while. Probably overnight. just to be sure. So once you're at this point, go run some slot cars or work on some other cars. Lay this aside. Okay, thanks for watching so far. We're going to get to the good part. Actually installing the light kit pretty soon. Anyway, thanks. Okay, so now we're ready to install the actual light kit into the car. I've just turned my hot glue gun on, so we'll wait a couple seconds for that. Basically what we're going to do at this point is hold the body up like this. Do the fronts first, position the fronts, and then that's what this kind of tool comes into play here. You can also use just a pencil, because these, you can see these SMD LEDs have a little divot on the back of them, so the point of this just sits in there nicely. And I mean, you really need 3 hands to do this, but if you sort of get that into position, and then hold it with the this kind of weird, this tool, hold it over the hole. Get the other one out of the way there. Then you can start to hit the wires and the light with some hot melt, and then you do have a little bit of time as the hot melt still stays warm to double check that your LED is centered over the hole. So that's in position. Let's come in here and hit this with a little bit of hot melt on the wires. What I also use is just a flat blade screwdriver, but let's check this first of all. Oh, that looks good. You can basically see through the lens. You can see the yellow there. Looks like it's very well centered there. So we come back. This is starting to harden up a little. I just like to press it down, because you don't have a lot of room between here and the front tire. That's one of the reasons I had to switch to SMDs. I used to use these through holes, but white, and I would just bend the legs over. But when Slotted started to make the 962 and the 956K, there wasn't enough room to bend this over. You would have your front tires would rub against the back of the LED. So then I started to investigate SMDs and made the switch and just never looked back. So what we can do now is just come in here and just hit different little spots here with a little more hot melt just to secure it, and maybe seal up some of the stray light that might want to leak out. So we'll go around there and then come with the screwdriver and just sort of flatten that out. The other thing you might want to do, I've had to do this on other occasions, and that is hook the lights up to a power source, 10 to 12 volts DC. That way you can kind of keep an eye on how well the light's going to come through. That's coming through very well. And also the stray light. You can see we've got some stray light on the back side here. So that's what the fine tip glue gun works really well to get into the little cracks and crevices there. And again, we'll flatten this out. Don't worry if you get too much in there. You can always come back and kind of scrape it away. Now the other thing that I do recently is, instead of, this is a white bodied car, so the light's going to obviously show through in behind here a little easier than some of the more opaque bodies. What I like to do, instead of trying to fill all this in with hot melt, is I have, this is black fiber tape. It's hockey stick tape, of course. Being Canadian, we're all used to this stuff. So what you do is just cut a little piece of this to proper size. Usually that amount works well. And then you can come in here, push that in there, and just cover everything else up. That's a little, let's take the corner off that. Push this in here. Clean that up. Get rid of some of the fluff. There, that's going to work pretty well. Let's just push this in here. Now, if you want to be 100% certain, take your chassis, give a little test fit. Now this chassis is just straight out of the box, hasn't been set up. So the wheels are, the front wheels aren't, they're spinning a little bit, but when I put it in here, oh, you know what? It was the other ones were kind of blocking. Let's try this. Now this is in the way. Well, you can, there, that'll do it. There. There's room there. Lots of room. So we're good on clearance. So now we do the other side. Just hit it with some hot melt there. Check my alignment. That looks great. There. You can see that coming through nicely. So now we'll come back and we'll just sort of put some small amounts in here around. And right there. So there we go. Looks pretty good. Now on to the rears. They're a little simpler because all we do is basically stick this little nipple into the hole and hit it with some hot melt. Now if you want, in order to clear the area here where the rear tires are, you can bend these. I wouldn't suggest bending them a lot or manipulating the wire a lot, but we just bend them inboard that way. Put that in the hole. Now there is a little tab here. Not sure what that's for, but you can actually kind of press the wires down to be a little more conforming against the body. We'll put that in there. Yeah, we can run those. They'll stay well out of the way. And here we go with the hot melt. Right there. Get rid of the strings. And then flatten it out a bit. So there it is coming through. Looks good. Get the other one. There we go. Get rid of a few more strings from the hot glue. Now the next part, you want to kind of pick a side to put the unit. Don't put it in the middle because that's where the motor is normally on an inline configuration. And you can kind of give this a little bit of a tweak to tuck it right in this corner here. All these other wires will they'll lay flat. They'll be all right. You can even tuck it up and over this little bit here. Give this a bit of a bend. And stick that right in there. That looks good. I think I'll put it right there. So we'll go under with the hot melt. And that should just about do it. Now if you don't want to put hot melt all throughout your car, then you can use some fiber tape or whatever you like, just to hold the wires down in different spots. Keep them from fouling any of the moving parts. Now we can double check the fit again. Take that off. Just tuck it there. Wheels run smooth. There's lots of clearance there. The body fits. Anyway, there you have it. That should do it. What's left to do is the rear lenses, attaching this to the motor. I usually give quite a bit of wire here. What I usually do is, I trim this right down to about 1 inch, solder it to the motor. Red on the right, black on the left, when viewing from regular position behind the car looking forward. And away you go. So back to these last little bits. So we have these last little bits to put back on. The rear light covers. Now these little LEDs do come through, so they now will affect the little slots here that go in. So what you have to do is ever so carefully just trim away a little bit of this tab on the red side. Just take a little bit, do a test fit. They're finicky little things. Oops. No, I don't think that's going to work because it's just not enough. Try that. There, that one worked. Now what we'll do this time, we're going to use the E6000. We're actually going to put a little bit on the tab. It dries clear and should do the trick. Tweezers. Something else that probably would work. There we go. A little dip in the E6000 and then a dip on some dry spot. Put it into place, push it in. There we go. Now the other side. There we go. We're all set. Turn some lights down so you get a little better look. The rear, the front. I hope the guy's happy, and I hope you learned that's how we install Pete's light kits.